Okay, so we played a little bit around with explaining how the pipe sweep and loft tool works, or in order to make a ring or bracelet, bangle, frankly, whatever. I mean, if you want, you could expand this to make it a necklace if you want. That's fine too. Um, just much more of about ideally something wearable. If you did want to make a necklace, the reason I don't start with that is because the build volume all on our resin printers is much too small to make a single necklace. So do with that information as you will. All right. But I want to show you how to make the jewel part of the jeweled necklace. So let me go over to Fusion. All right, so I have just a basic jewel here, and we're going to be building that into some sort of a ring. So what I've done, like for the pipe ring, like I said, you cannot make just a simple pipe. But what this one is one simple pipe and copies rotated ever so slightly or moved out and then joined together to make a more complex kind of like uh, laced ring. It's just using the simple pipe tool, making multiples. You could do a sweep, which in this case, which we didn't go over before, you can actually rotate that profile along that path. So this is the result of the same thing of making an oval, and I made a notch in one, only in this one I made multiple notches, and then rotated it around that simple path. So really cool option for especially like that would probably be a pretty painful ring, but a really neat bracelet. Or the other option of a loft, two profiles, in this case a small oval translating up to a rectangle, and then a setting built up straight above and that sort. And ultimately that's what I ended up working with when I made the complete one, along with additional features on the sides. So those are just a couple ways you can go about this. But I want to focus on making a jewel. So let's open up new project, and first thing, save, example, jeweled new ring, neato. Okay, so obviously we can set up the different components and all that such later, but first let's figure out how do I make something that looks that complex. It's really not, but let's show you. So I'm going to start with a sketch, in this case XY plane, just so I can look straight down. And what we're going to do is, instead of a circle or anything like that, we're going to use the Polygon tool. So you have three options here: circumscribed, inscribed polygon, and edge polygon. We're going to focus on circumscribed and inscribed. Basically, all that means is the polygon is based on a circle, and whether or not you want the tangent lines to be on the outside of the circle or the polygon lines to be squished inside. For this case, really doesn't matter. You could always resize later, so whatever. So let's just say inscribed this time. I'm going to leave this as a center point. Now, do not hit enter first. You have a couple of options here. As my mouse goes around, I can rotate it. Might as well leave it right on that path there. You can, of course, say what diameter you want the circle. Again, that's diameter, or sorry, that's radius. I apologize. Yeah, mix it up anyway. There you go. Little hard to keep it on center here, but to change how many sides, press tab, and now you have the option here. The important thing is how many sides to choose in this case. What we're going to work with, let me just hit example or hit escape here so I can show you. What we're going to work with here is, don't let this fool you here. It's 1, 2, 3, or hang on. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 sides here. So let's repeat that. Polygon, inscribed, center. Sure, we'll make it 10 sides, tab over. Let's make it a 8mm ring, just keeping things different. Okay, so that makes my polygon. It's all I need. We're done with the sketch. That's it. This is done largely with a multitude of extrusions. So hit extrude, and in this case, I'm just going to go up like 1mm. It's fine. Or hell, you could even do half, just a little bit less. Reason I'm doing that I'll show up and I'll explain in a minute, but ultimately it's for the sake of how we're doing this, using how we're splitting and making more facets. You need to have a little bit of space there. Otherwise, you could go straight into stuff. But in this case, we need that. All right. So now we're going to perform 2 more extrusions. One going up, one going down. In this case, I can just select the top surface. And let's go up, I don't know, like 3. But what we're going to do is I want to put a taper on this. So I said before, one of the most common angle cutting, or the most common cutting angles for jewels is 42. So negative goes inward. So press negative, 42. Instant facets. Okay. Orbit under, repeat extrude, same. We'll go down slightly more, let's say 6, sure. Taper angle, negative 42. Doesn't have to be 42. This is, like I said, just a common thing. Okay, there we are. Simple jewel. But I want to make this more complex. Note the number of facets there makes it all extra shiny. In order to do this, we need a bit more. And also, no, I did not bring it down to a taper. You cannot bring it to a final taper for this to work. So what we're going to do is just pick a couple sides to make additional facets, and then we're going to rotate those facets around using the circle pattern tool. So first thing, we're going to use the construction plane tool, and we're going to add a plane through 3 points. What you'll do is select some opposing points. So 1, 2, and 3 in the middle, and to see how it makes this triangle shape. That's what we want. Okay. And I can go ahead and do the bottom too, but first we're going to go through this. Then we're going to use split body, which, as the name sounds, it splits a body based on something. So in this case, the construction plane. Go to split body, the body we want to split, the main jewel, splitting tool, that construction plane. It's going to make this red circle around, showing you that the extent of how far it could cut. Hit OK. When I expand bodies, I have the whole thing and that little chunk it just chopped off. Now I've got that added facet. I can hide that construction plane for the moment. Now what I can do, use the circle pattern tool. I go down to object type, and instead of bodies, I want faces or features, in this case faces. Here, select my center axis, the z-axis, and because this is 10-sided polygon, I need 5. They'll match up. There we go. Hit OK. It repeats exactly what was just done, and now that made a much more complex shape. Neat way to work. I may have done that wrong. I think I was supposed to pick numerals of 6. But you get the idea. I can always go back and make those additional shapes. There you go. So the only trick is you kind of get a little bit lost in doing this. Repeat the process for the bottom. Construction plane through 3 points. In this case, we'll go 1, 2, in between, 3. There we go. Now see, what's going to happen here is it's going to chop way too much in. So let's reverse that. Make the peak toward the center, the middle here of the extrusion. So select that point. The order doesn't matter. It's fine. So select my 2 sides toward the bottom. There we go. I just want to chop out those sections. There we go. Finish construction plane. Split body, the main body, select cutting tool, construction plane, hit OK. Hide the little chunk, hide the construction plane, circle pattern, object type faces, select axis, the Z axis, or my origin. It's going to select 5 again. That's good. This time, let's try this. 10. That's going to probably cause problems. Let's hit OK and see what happens. Ooh, makes it a lot neater. That's actually pretty cool. Maybe I should have done the repeat in 10 before. Let me step back and do that. Edit feature, instead of 5, let's make that also 10. Nice, nice. So there you go. Really simple way of making a multifaceted jewel. Is it absolutely accurate? Nah. Does it look neat? Yeah. If you do want it to go to a point, now you could extrude it downward to a point. The problem is we needed that flat bottom to have enough vertices to select from. So now if you want, final thing for the jewel, go to extrude and make sure taper angle -42, so it just continues, and you can just draw it down until it makes a point. Leave it at join. Yep. And there we are. So really simple way to make a jeweled object. You do not need to make it come down to a point for this project. That is just if you so chose to make that come down to a point. It's just important that you do that after the fact. Okay. So that's how to make our jewel. Super duper. I need a ring around that. Somewhere around there. This is the part that this is going to be kind of up to you, however you want to go about this. So I'm going to leave this body here and leave that at title that as jewel, because I'm going to use that as multiple other options. All right. So let's make our whatever. In this case, let's make a bracelet. Same diff, it's just larger. All right. So right now I'm going to leave this sketch in its outside, kind of like we just did with the lidded container project, because I want to be able to use this sketch on any object. So same deal. Make a circle or so. I want to make a 2-point circle. I'm going to just start my point somewhere close to, doesn't have to be touching by any means. It could be floating well above. We can move that jewel object up and down as we please. Probably do just that. All right. So if I want to make this a bracelet, like I kind of said before, that'll be a significant bracelet to fit around my hand. So yeah, let's make it kind of loose. Let's say that let's make it 90, right? 90 millimeters. Wow, they got big. And let's snap in place. It's always a little tricky getting it to snap. There we go. Okay. So if you are going to use the pipe tool, a single circle is fine. If you're going to use the sweep or loft tool, I recommend making 2 separate sketches. One sketch is my circle profile, and I'm going to label it as such. No, I didn't want to do that. I meant to just slow click circle, and then make an additional sketch for your 1 or 2 profiles, depending on if it's sweep or loft. The reason for that is your sweep or loft profiles are perpendicular to the circle. That's why. So start a new sketch on the perpendicular plane, the XZ plane in this case. There we are. If you need an more easily interactable way to work with the previous sketch, use project, sketch, hit OK. Now, the reason I did that, you can see how much more clearly the absolute top and absolute bottom of that circle are from a perpendicular profile. Again, things that make your work easier. There we are. All right. So I can make, let's say, a oval. I can actually make it snap directly to. Let's make this a little bit larger, and why not? Now, the problem is that it does make a center point circle for this, so maybe this wasn't the best option, but whatever. We'll work with it from there. Hit OK. I'm going to hide the jewel real quick. That way that's out of the way and not interacting. If I am making a sweep, 1 profile is fine. If I'm making a loft, you need 2 profiles. In this case, I'll do both just to have them built on already. You can do as really whatever you need. So 10, sure, and we'll make that, I don't know, 50. Okay. You can, of course, adjust your profiles. If I want to make these rounded instead of rectangular, go ahead and add a fillet. If I'm going to make all these the same, adjust one to the size you want to fillet. Do not hit enter or anything, and continue selecting around the edges. And it will link all of them to the same, and now I can adjust all of them the same way. Oops, it did not click all of them, did it? Something happened. I think I hit the wrong thing. All right, fine. I think I hit the wrong button there for a second. Repeat fillet. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, 3, 5, whatever. 6 too much. So I guess 3 was good. And for some reason, it keeps knocking out of that one. Weird. And of course, it doesn't come up with the same one. Whatever. There we go. Okay, great. And there we are. And for this case, let's go ahead and throw a couple of notches into the sketch just for reference. So sure, center point circle, we'll to say 3, and then I'll make a couple more over here. 2, sure, 3, super duper. All right, if you want to make these all match, obviously you make a mirror. So let's make a line straight through as a reference line. Boop, boop, boop. Make sure that line is a construction line. Press X, so it's a dotted line. There we are. Mirror those circles across my mirror line, and it repeats over there. There we go. Just so we have that. All right, finish sketch. Again, if I want to make a sweep, I can select my profile, select my path. There we are. I've made a tire. Congratulations. But how you can work with this, you can play with a parallel and such. That's not really going to work very well for this case. Keep your profile perpendicular in this case. You can twist and taper this. So like I said, and it works in degrees. So if I type 180, doesn't make a complete circle. It needs to come back to the same. So it needs to be in increments of 360. So the next close one would be 720. So if you want to make it super duper twisty, there you go. I've already forgotten what the next one would be. 1080? Yeah. See if it's too much. Nope. So you can keep going until it just completely errors out, or whatever. So there you go. You can make that a sweep and make a super tire twisty time. All right. What object is that? Sweep twist. Neat. So that's how you can make that. Now, how are you going to put a jewel on that? I don't know. You figure it out. But that's how you do that. So let's save right there because I haven't saved in a little bit. Sweep. All right. Unhide the sketches, and let's do that again, this time with the Loft tool. Come down. Remember that Loft transitions between the two. So select one profile. Select the second profile. It's going to error because I didn't select the path yet. I need my rail, which will be that. Center line. Yes, rail. There we go. Now it's only going to make half because it's going from one and stopping at the other. Like I said, you just mirror them. There you go. This is functioning properly now. Again, I'm not sure why the other one didn't. I must have done something wrong. But anyway, there you are. That's how you can make those work out. If you when you make the other side, the object, mirror the object, which is one side. My mirror plane can simply be the origin plane, and you can let them join. There we go. Now I've made a stranger tire. So that's how you can make a loft and a sweep ring. But as I said before, if you're making a pipe ring, it needs to be more complex than a single. So let me just title that as loft. And let's go back and make just the one. If I'm making a pipe ring to bracelet or ring, you could do that, but it cannot just be simply one pipe. So select it there, and let's just say, sure, we'll make that a 5mm pipe. Super duper. Hit OK. my loft here. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my new components here to start separating these things out because this is going to get more complex. Pipe ring. I'm going to label that as pipe 1, and then I'm going to click and drag and drop that into the pipe component. I'm going to switch now to auto color, so shift in, just so we can clear some stuff up. I'm going to go ahead and hide these other sketches. I don't need them right now. We're just working with that pipe. We're just that one ring. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this a little bit. So select there. The pipe ring component is active. Let me collapse some stuff so we can kind of make sense of this stuff. And let's copy and paste. Oops. There we go. Copy and paste. So just Control C. Come on, buddy. Why aren't you doing this? Making me look like a schmuck. Doesn't take a lot. What is going on here? Gape ring? Sometimes save. Let's just see what's going on here. I probably have a whole stack of copies and pastes. Nope, that's weird. Why are you? There we go. I have no idea why I wasn't doing that. All right, so sometimes because of how the copy and paste function works, it will not put the center, or it will not put my move point in the center, but you can see it when I orbit around. So if you need that, go to Set Pivot, and when you move your mouse toward the center of this ring, it should snap in place. Deselect Set Pivot. I know it's very frustrating that it does that. And now I can rotate this a little bit. All right, so I'm just going to go to the side here. Boom, boom, boom. Orbit. All right, 15 degrees, just so I know how far. Hit OK. All right, select the original, copy, paste. Hey, now it's working. Do it again. This part gets a little tedious sometimes. There we go. Set pivot. Go the other way, -15. You can see where I'm going with this. Okay. Do this a couple more times, make it slightly more complex. That's all. Copy, paste. Oh my God. If this starts getting too complex for you, meaning like you can't select what you're trying to select, hide a couple things. In this case, I'm going to orbit it the other way. Oh, whoops. If you don't deselect set pivot, it won't work. Again, really kind of frustrating. Hit OK. It's important that you go back to the original simply so you don't kind of get lost doing this. Now orbit that one the other direction. Hit OK. All right, so really simple way, just making this thing more complex. That's all. I've just copy and pasted, rotated a few times, or rotated a little bit, and there you go. So that's the requirement. If you choose to make this using a pipe tool, just make some alterations so it's a little more complex, so it's not just straightforward. There we are. Last thing with those would be join them all together, select one, and then select all the others. Hit OK. There we go. So I just all dropped it back into one single thing. That's all. All right. I'll label that as complex pipe. All right. So the last bit on this would be making some sort of a setting. Again, by no means am I asking you to make an actual jewelry setting. If you want to do some research and actually look into that, great. But looking back through the couple of other ones, let me go back to any of this stuff. You can see, and let me switch back to actual assign color. You can see, yeah, that looks complex at first. Looks very complex, but this is all done off of a, excuse me, this is all done off of a revolve tool. So what I mean by that is we'll keep working with the pipe ring, and I'll switch back to auto color so we can see what's going on. All right, so jewel, let's copy and paste that jewel. So I have two of them. And where'd my, great, because I already had the pipe ring component active, it pasted the other jewel into the component. So I can hide the original like it is, hide all those, So that way I have just more than one. That's all. All right. So currently it's floating a little bit above. That's not really a problem. I can always move stuff around. All right. So super detailed jewel for kind of a funky ring or bracelet, apparently. I forgot about that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through a quick thing here. Again, I'm not expecting a like professional jeweler setting. This is at best, a kind of sort of making the point kind of thing. So start as usual with a sketch, selecting the XZ profile, and I'm going to base this around my ring or my jewel. So first thing I would do is use project, which again, you can go to create down here or just press P. I want to select not by face or anything. I want the whole body of the jewel. Select there, hit OK. And I'm just going to hide that. So you get the outermost outline of the jewel. That's all that's for, and it just helps me work. So you have a couple options. You could even use the offset tool of exactly that ring, that jewel, and expand it out, and bam, that's basically my profile. Let's make it a little bit thicker, -3. Okay, that's kind of a little excessive. Maybe make it -2. Again, jewelry's supposed to be delicate, I guess. I don't know. There you go. So you could do that way, or of course, you could make something if you wanted it much more of your own design. Maybe it's something like a fit point spline, drawing around. And I'm not going all the way up. I need something that's just going to go just past where that jewel would kick back inward. So something like right there. Okay. So with that, I could offset that and go inward. That works. Offset not really working very well, so let's hit escape, and I'm just going to draw straight over. Now, the reason I can just draw straight over and draw inward, oh, I forgot where my line was. Let me just delete this whole thing. I accidentally based that line off of the offset of the jewel. So let's make two different ones. First, let's use the offset. Again, I don't know, something just slightly outside of there. So I'm going to use a line tool, and I'm just going to draw, oh, there we go. That's a midpoint of that line. Midpoint to midpoint. Neat. The little triangle symbol comes up. Those are constraint tools. Leave that. Nice. Okay. And since I know this is going to be a revolve, remember I only need half of a profile. So right down the center. Heck, I can even use the actual center point and go straight down. Something is messing up my design. So let's go ahead and hide the pipe entirely. Something's kind of going screwy there. There we are. Just goes outside. So now I know that this section can be isolated. That's why I'm doing this. Nice. So I could, of course, do some trimming and all that kind of thing. The reason why, again, I do not need an entire. Oh my God, what just happened there? Apparently an over-constrained thing. So I don't think it likes being trimmed. All right. We'll just leave it there. And I'll make some adjustments afterwards. All right. I finished sketch. There we are. Go to revolve that profile around the center axis. Now you could make a whole circle, or you could do like a partial one. And let's say just make it, I don't know, 10 degrees. Let's make it go symmetric overall, 10 degrees either side. So you just make one tine. These, I made a whole 360 and use an extrude cut out to make the individual tines. So this way, I'm just going to make one single tine and revolve and make multiples of that. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. With this way, you want to make this a little bit more featured. Maybe use chamfers, and let's clean some of this up. I don't know. Cutting downward a little bit. Something, something. Again, I'm just adding features to this. Maybe add a chamfer to the faces themselves. This might overcomplicate it. Let's try 0.5. Remember that chamfers sometimes get messed up because of tight profiles. So instead of faces, it looks like it's going to force me to select some individual edges. And we won't select everything. Let's just try and select a few of these and work our way around. little bit. Okay, just those. Let's say 0.5. Should have done it to both sides at once, but if you forget, you can always add the plus sign, and that just adds an additional function to the same tool, so I don't have to make two chamfer tools down on the timeline. 0.5 on that side, neato burrito. Okay, to make the individual tines, make sure my origin is exposed again, or visible, exposed. Use the circle pattern, not faces. I want the whole body. Select that body, axis, around the axis. Ooh, 10 is much too much. Maybe let's try like 3. Maybe more than that. Since it is multiples, the sides are multiples of 10, let's do half of that, make 5. That seems reasonable. If you're unsure, and the reason I say this is I kind of like it to match up a little bit. Hey, what do you know? It does. There you go. Select OK. And very easy to make multiple tines for your setting. Now, granted, if this were a real setting, this base would be way too delicate. So maybe what I should do is also make something down here. I don't know. Let's try making, you know what, just for time's sake, I'll just make a simple cylinder based around that plane and in the center. What I did is I just select the bottom face there. Let's see, how big should that be? Shouldn't be too large. 3? Sure. And I'm just going to extrude this upward. And when I do, well, it's automatically going to cut, but instead I would like it to join. So it's just going to link all of these together. So visually, it's not really impressive, but that would be a really quick way of working with this. Select join, it just compressed all of those together. And let's just relabel that as setting. Let's just save there, setting. Okay. And again, if you want to fancy this up again, you could, of course, go back in and add like some chamfers. Let's try right there. I don't know, 1. Yep, too much. 0.5. Still too much. 0.1. Oh, not 0.1, just 0.1. There we go. Teeny tiny chamfer was apparently enough. If you try to do it on all these sides, you might run into some weird stuff. Okay. Now, oh, what's up? Yeah, doesn't like trimming projection stuff. Yep, exactly. Projection trims, it goes funky. Sorry, Jade, you probably said that a moment ago, but I didn't see it. All right. So if this were a real jewel and you were actually trying to make this like separate or so, what you could do is use the jewel as a cutting tool. And what I mean by that, it's probably not going to change anything because it's already made to fit this jewel. But what you could do is use the combine tool. My target body would be the joint setting, but I could use the jewel to cut. Now, I do need to keep the original. I don't want that to be deleted, so I'll select Keep Tools. And when I hit Enter, it's going to use that jewel and trim away any excess inside of my setting. So when I hide the jewel, now, like I said, it's not really going to change anything in this case. However, simple setting, and we're going to end up just joining that on there. But I do want to show you real quick the other option. And this will, and the trim part will make more sense in a moment. So let's save there. What was? They're both kind of simple. Setting 1. Okay. So let's hide that setting. And I do want to, again, I've got the profile. So let's make a second sketch. And we'll go to front again. If I can't get to the plane, hide the jewel for a second, unhide the jewel. Again, I'm gonna project the whole body. There we are. Hide the jewel. This time I'm gonna make like a rounded one. So somewhere below, super duper, kind of sort of close-ish. Ooh, snazzy. Okay. Play with that as you need. I'm going to make a just straight line here. That works. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to kind of make a really rough design here. Let's go straight up, something, 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 something. There we are. I need to extend that. So let's just snap that over, or maybe make this a flat bottom. That actually makes more sense to do. So I'm kind of making the setting built into it. Okay. And now for this, I don't know. I'll just join those two together. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I get this big kind of floppy thing here. All right, hit finish sketch. Now when I revolve, where's my revolve tool? I'm going to do, both those profiles. Who cares? And let's make it a full revolve. So I've just made a weird donut thingy. Great. Okay. This does require one extra sketch. So one extra sketch, straight out. Nope. Yep. There we go. And I don't know. Let's kind of make a big weird oval into this. That might be too large. Whatever. We'll make it work. Okay. Hit OK. I'm going to extrude outward with this sketch and chop through the body. Now, obviously, probably should have made this a little bit larger, a little bit less extreme in the center, but doesn't matter. Quick and dirty. Let's make the features first. Let's go ahead and chamfer that whole face. Put a 1 on it. Oh, okay. That doesn't work as well, so I'll need to just chamfer the edge. Chamfer does sometimes not like to work on curved or sharp points because it's a bevel. It's adding twice as many sharp points to the curve. There we go. That works. Bunch of little corners there. Great. The inside doesn't matter right now. All right. Now we go to a circle pattern. I do want to select features here, and I want, let's see if just that edge works. Just that edge. Axis around the center. Ooh, 5 is going to be a problem. I made that too large. So let's drop it down to 3. See what happens there. Select OK. Yep, I needed the more of it. So let's repeat that. I need features. I need both the inside and outside. There we go. Axis, same. Again, drop it down to 3. Hit OK. So now I just got these kind of weird, but much too large tines. But that does work. Now I can unhide the jewel, and I can. Yeah, that's way too big. I should have made that fit point spline a little bit closer in. But you get where I'm going with this. Now I can use the combine and cut tool. Select the fitting. Use the jewel as the tool body. Make sure to keep tools. I do not want that jewel to delete. Hit OK. And now when I hide the jewel, it form fits. For this project, if you're printing this, that's really irrelevant. But if you were trying to make this in an actual jewelry setting or whatever, however have you, that is a really handy way, and this goes for everything really. If you're planning on making two things that one has to exactly fit inside the other, that's how you do it. Use the actual object as a cutting tool and chop into the center. All right. Simple setting. All right. I don't like that one anyway, so whatever. Last step would be, well, second to last. Let's save that. Simple setting. Join them together. Obviously, you can scale this stuff up and down if you need to or anything like that. Resizing. Obviously, this ring looks way big for that jewel. Oh, right, because it's actually, I sized it as a bracelet. Yeah, the scales aren't right. Excuse me, scales aren't quite right. But if you decided that you did need to rearrange that, you could always either scale down the final product using the scale tool, or just resize the original sketch if you needed actually exacting. Last step would just be join the stuff together. combine join, make sure it's actually join. I want the body, the ring and or bracelet, and the setting to join, or you could join all three of them together in an entire bit. I'm just going to kick these out as a new component. Select that and hit OK. And the reason I did that is it kept all of my original bits as separate things, but you just activate all the things, the whole project, but I unhide that. Now it's one solid joined element. So next class, we'll go over making some more complex bits like adding the additional features and things like that if you have used either sweep or loft, so you actually have a surface to do that to. But this is what we're going with. Make the jewel, make some kind of a setting. You can always play with different versions. It's up to you. And play around with different ways of making either the settings or the ring, bracelet, whatever have you. Totally up to you, but know that there's quite a lot of options. Main things are a jewel, a setting of your design, and a wearable thingy thing. I'll show you how to print these later. All right, play with it. Enjoy.